Hi, this is John from Fat Online Marketing, and what I want to do here is show you how to structure a Google AdWords account, and I want to give you some food for thought before you even go into the account, because I want to stress how important it is to plan the account on paper first, and I want to give you some tips different to what Google will recommend. But before that, let's first quickly look at how Google chooses your ads. Second, the structure of an AdWords account. And thirdly, get you down with the AdWords lingo, because once you understand these three things, when it comes to building out your account, you're going to be much more kind of potent in your targeting. So firstly, how does Google work? So in the example here, let's say you typed in sales training and you were looking for some sort of sales training. There are two types of listing on this page. Now the first is what's called the organic listing, and I've highlighted it here. So Google could here potentially show 158 million websites, and out of all those websites, one of them has to be top. And Google uses a thing called an algorithm, which is essentially a set of rules and guidelines, and the better each website performs at those rules and guidelines, the higher it will appear. Now, it can be extremely difficult to get to the top of here, impossible in some cases, especially if you're just starting out. So there's another way, which is what we're interested in, called Google AdWords. So what Google AdWords essentially is we're saying to Google, if someone types in sales training, we so specifically offer what that person's looking for, I'm prepared to pay for the clicks of that person, essentially why it's called pay-per-click. So let's now look at the structure of how this works, because if someone types in sales training, we need to tell Google which of our ads to show and where to send them to. So why is the behind the scenes structure so important? Well, firstly, it converts more customers because you're giving them a relevant and consistent experience. Basically, what they want quickly. If I type in sales training, I want you to show me some ads about sales training, and I want you to quickly take me to the sales training part of your website. I don't want you to make me have to search around for things. Give the monkey bananas is how I've heard it called before. Secondly, Google will reward your well-structured account by making it cheaper for you to advertise with them. Now, what Google wants, like the customer wants, is relevancy, because the more relevant you are, the happier the customers are. And the happier the customers are, the more they'll come to Google, and Google will continue to make money. Third, you can better target your customers because you're about to see all traffic is not the same. So let's look at the structure of an AdWords account and bust some of the jargon. Now, the first level of an account is what's called the campaign, and this is kind of the top level organizer. It's also where you change lots of the settings and the targeting. Now, the next slide, I'm going to go into detail about this because this will give you some ideas of how you can target your customers. But when I say a top level organizer, let's say that you sell management training. That's a kind of umbrella of what you do. Now, the kind of second level of a Google campaign are what called ad groups. So if you offered management training, kind of smaller groups of what you do would be called maybe time management is a course that you run, maybe motivational skills is a program that you run, and it's just ways of grouping them smaller. And when I say grouping them, because what we're going to do is group the keywords into these groups. So if someone types in time management training or time management course, we want to group those different words together, because each of these ad groups has a particular ad that is associated with it. So for the time management ad group and the keywords associated with that, we'd only want to show them the ad text, which is time management training, time management related. Remember I said earlier about being relevant. If you have the relevant keywords bunched together, you can show them relevant text ad and take them to the correct part of your website. So that's going to keep Google happy because it likes that consistent experience you're giving your customers, but it's also going to keep your customers happy. You're giving them what they want, and they're much more likely to convert to a sale or whatever you want them to do. So remember I just said that on the campaign level, it's where you can do all the targetings, and there are lots of settings. So it's going to make sense for me to talk through some of these, because when you're structuring your account on paper, you may choose to do something differently when you know what you can do. So the first level of targeting you can do is location. Maybe you want to target just the UK, maybe you want to target just the US, maybe you just want to target Europe, and all this would happen on the campaign level. Maybe you sell a physical product and it's just not cost effective for you to ship to the US, so you wouldn't do that. Maybe you want to test out a different country. Maybe right now you're selling to the UK and you would like to test to the US, so you could create a campaign just targeting the US just to see if it's actually worth doing. So bear in mind that that's done on the campaign level. Very similar to that is the language. You can target particular languages, and that's only at the campaign level. Budget. Now this is a really interesting one. If you are very successful in the UK and you have a limited budget, maybe most of your budget you'd want to spend on the UK, but you want to allocate a small budget to testing out in Germany, for example. Now, if you have your campaign split correctly into the different locations, you can then have a small budget put aside to do that. So it's never going to go crazy. Like, you're never going to waste lots of money because you can put maybe a really small budget to try it out. So it's at the campaign level you can create different budgets. Now, if your whole account was in one campaign, then you wouldn't be able to split out and budget for different locations. So it's worth bearing that in mind from the start when you're kind of building it out. Next is devices, and I think this is going to become more and more important as the years go on. Maybe you want to target just mobile phones, or maybe just laptops, or maybe just iPads. You can actually do this now on the campaign level. And finally is the different networks. Maybe you want to target just a search network or just the content network. Search network being if you actually go to Google and type in sales training, that's search. You can target just those people. And the content network, I'm sure you've been on websites and seen when there's kind of Google ads within somebody else's website. Maybe it's a small text ad or it's an image. Now that's called the content network, and it makes sense to target both search and content, but by breaking them out, by targeting just search as one group and just content as the other, you can see the different buying behaviors. Because if you're on someone else's if someone's already on someone else's website and you're trying to get them to come to yours, it's a slightly more intrusive marketing, so your kind of return on investment and your results won't be as good as the search network, but it's certainly worth doing, so just bear that in mind as well. So let's look at an example. And the scenario I thought of is, say, let's say we're selling sports clothing and we're only selling to people in the UK. Now, the first campaign I would suggest you do if you were selling something like this would be a branded campaign. So a branded campaign means selling the if someone makes a search and it has the brand name of a product you're selling in it, grouping those together in its own campaign. Because if somebody's searching for a particular brand, it means they're much further down the buying cycle. They've maybe done their keyword, they've done their research already, they know what they're actually looking for. Now they're just trying to find the best deal or the best company to buy it from. Because next to the branded campaign, you'd have a non-branded campaign. And essentially, non-branded people they're searching for what you're offering, but they may not have made their mind out about a particular brand yet. And these people they're not as far down the buying cycle. So the reason I split these traffics out is because if you have a limited budget, you may want to spend more of it on the branded campaign, because that traffic is more likely to convert because they're already further down the buying path. Whereas non-branded, it's certainly worth doing and you can test out different things, but realize that the return will probably not be as good as branded traffic. So if maybe you have a limited budget to start off with, you would kind of put most of your money in the branded campaign. And I would also have a separate campaign for the content network, because in the content network you can get much cheaper traffic, but the behavior of this traffic is very different to search traffic. So it's certainly worth kind of keeping out on its own. So what are ad groups? If you remember, ad groups, I said, are the method you use to organize your product or service offering and target your customers. It's also the text ad Google chooses, depends on how you organize your ad groups. So let me explain. The scenario here I'll use is selling dogs clothing. So let's say we had a non-branded campaign for dogs clothing. So potential ad groups we would have here would maybe be dog collars and dog blankets. And so I want to explain the ad groups now, why it's so important to group everything together so well. So the keywords I would have in this dog collar ad group would be all dog collar related: dog collar, dog collars, dog's collar. Very similar but kind of slight nuances on the same word, because each ad group then has its own associated ad copy. and it's important that the ad copy is reflecting the keywords in that ad group. So you can see here the ad copy, I've put want a dog collar, free UK delivery, come and visit the dog boutique. And with the dog blanket, you can see want a dog blanket. And we could test and play around with that, but you can see that I'm reflecting the same messaging throughout the whole thing. So just so you know what I mean by branded traffic as well, one account that I manage, and you may know Jamie Smart and Salad NLP. So this is his branded campaign. So Jamie's company, they're a big self-development company. His company's big enough now that his name is actually part of his brand. So I have an ad group just for his name, and I have an ad group for his company name as well. And you can see that I only have one keyword in there. You don't always have to have lots of keywords, especially with a branded campaign. And you can see that the text ads that I have stayed consistent and reflecting the ad group name. So ad group Jamie Smart, keyword Jamie Smart, and I have Jamie Smart in the ad copy, and the same for Salad. And the reason I've done that, some people that know about Jamie may not know about Salad at the time that they're searching, and people that have heard about Salad may not have heard about Jamie. So at the point of the searching, I just want to stay consistent with what they're actually looking for. So the next element of the account is the keyword selection. And not all keywords are made the same, which I'm going to show you here. So let's say we had, say you're looking to build a life coaching practice. So you may think I want to target people that are searching for the word life coaching. Now there are a few ways you can target the term life coaching, and I'm about to show you. So the first, you can have this keyword in your account on something called broad match. So what broad match means is if someone has the word life coaching anywhere in what they're searching for within Google, show our ad. So the example here could be, can a dog coaching holiday improve his life? Unfortunately, your ad would show there, and if you're trying to build a life coaching practice, you really don't want to show your ad for that. So broad, I would say when you're starting out, just don't use it. It's too broad, and you're going to waste a lot of money. The second way you can have that keyword in your account is what's called phrase match. So phrase match is saying that those two words at least have to be together. So for example, if someone typed in the word life coaching jobs in Wales, our ad would show because the word life coaching are together as a phrase. The next is quite self-explanatory, exact match. We're saying someone has to type the exact two words in and nothing else. So with that phrase match, if we were building our life coaching practice and someone typed in life coaching jobs in Wales, we actually don't want that person because they're looking for a job and we're actually looking for clients. So the next thing you can have are what called negative match. Now negative match means if it has a particular word in the search, don't show the ad. So for this ad group, we'd have the word life coaching or phrase, but we'd also have negative jobs, so that ad would not show. And even if you just use that tip in your account, and we're aware of that during your keyword research, you're well ahead of 95% of the game, and you're going to save a lot of money from the start. So just as a bit of a recap, when starting out, only use phrase and exact match, because broad can be too broad and waste money. Now, a common fear I hear is people thinking they will miss the keyword that will make them rich. You do not have to worry about every possible keyword someone will type in, as I'm about to show you. So let's stay with the dog clothing example here. So we've got dog clothing ad group, dog collar ad group, dog collar related keywords, dog collar ad copy. And you can see that the keywords I have in there are on phrase match. And remember, if it's phrase match, keywords, words can appear before or after it when the person's searching. So if someone typed in designer dog collar, tartan dog collar, personalized dog collar, my ad would still show. So I'm kind of catching all the variations, so you don't have to worry when you're doing your keyword research to get every single variation in there. But what might eventually happen is we may see that tartan dog collar gets so much traffic compared to all the others, it's worth splitting out into its own ad group, because then we can give it its own ad copy, something more relevant to what the person's searching for, and send them straight to the tartan dog collar part of our website. So this is all worth bearing in mind when you're kind of structuring your account first on paper. Okay, now with what we've learnt here, let's build out your actual account. Next video I'll do this with you real time.